What truly drew me to make a comic for the first time is something I think I probably should have shared a long time ago. Hey friend. This video is probably the start to a little mini-series. I'm not sure how long it'll be. I'm not sure if it'll be more than this, but it's called Why I Started Making Comics. And this is kind of weird for, like, I don't know if I fully ever expressed this, so I wrote most of it down. I have my laptop that you can see with some notes on it, and I'll half read off of that, half not, so bear with me. Basically, someone had one of these little tag yourself type of things in in their Instagram story the other day, and it was like, compare your very first art piece that you put on Instagram to now, and I was like, oh, I don't even remember what mine was, so I like went through my Instagram, scrolled all the way down to the bottom, and was like, oh yeah. Then I looked at the dates. The very first art post that I had was from 2014, which, I don't know if this sounds weird, but I think Instagram was where everything kind of started for me. It's kind of dumb, like, it's just a social media platform, but back then there was a way for people to kind of form a community on Instagram, and I know that YouTube is similar to that. I wish that I joined it sooner, but that was part of the problem. I didn't have a voice. I liked relying on visuals and stuff that I could type, not speaking from my own mouth. So when I saw that date the other day, it just kind of blew my mind. That was the start of like what led me to going to comics, but what truly drew me to make a comic for the first time is something I think I probably should have shared a long time ago. See, buddy. I think the weirdest part about it is that it feels like it was 7 to 8 years ago, but it was only like 4 years ago. Just the amount that I feel like I have outwardly changed, but from the inside it's like I finally released myself from all of my own obstacles. It's just very trippy for me because I started opening up every single picture and reading all of the captions. Like, it sounded the same. It straight up sounded the same as how I do now, but out loud. And that was the main difference. Back then my captions were nothing like I spoke in real life. I was like mostly either silent from not feeling well or just my own, what I later figured out was dysphoria. But the craziest part to me is that it now has changed to sound exactly what I sound like today out loud because those were my true thoughts. I always expressed my thoughts through writing better than I did because I ended up living my entire life solely online. So back to thinking that it's kind of stupid where Instagram started everything, maybe it's not. Like, it's kind of our own little microcosm for all of us to exist together and share things that maybe we wouldn't out loud. Obviously there's some social repercussions of that, like if you're sharing something too intimate or things leak that you don't want to be leaked, like you should post stuff that is okay for you, but my problem was that I was incapable for multiple reasons of sharing things authentically out loud in real life. So these captions were very much more true to myself. I mean, sometimes even more than I had expressed. I remember telling my friend about everything I was thinking about with gender identity, and she was like, oh, well, I don't know, I've never felt that way. So I was like, oh. But I remember surprising myself with my writing, because it just kind of came out that way rather than how you'd blurt out something out loud. It was like I allowed my fingertips to do the speaking. So around this time, I started writing a story, and that story became an alternate universe for me, and ironically it's just about alternate dimensions, but I think that is why it feels so authentic to me, because it was an escape. The more I look into this, the weirder it becomes. This is why I think it has to be a series. If you don't know anything about that comic, the main characters are chronically ill. Check mark. Similarity to my life. They have chronic nightmares all the time, and they're very much tied into what happens in their daily life. So check that off the list. It just keeps going like that. Like, you get the point. It's just interesting because those characters, the one that's most similar to me was very reserved out loud. He had issues expressing his emotions. He had hair that I always wanted to have and all this stuff. So I guess I just created a future version of what I thought should be part of myself. He's not me, but still, because the other character was kind of who I thought I should be. She was, I don't know, she's very expressive and all this stuff, and she's super brave, but she's also kind of masculine in a way. So I think at that time, before I discovered anything about myself, that is how it expressed itself. In reality, I was lost. I had silenced myself. All I had was this story. I felt like I had no purpose. So I had to create one myself from my bed. I don't think that has changed, really. When one thing in my life ends right now, I just replace it with the next. So I guess I kind of keep myself busy. I keep a reason for myself to keep going. And I often start to wonder what would have happened if I didn't at that time. Like, unfortunately, even though I've written it down, it is still very hard for me to express what that time period of my life was like. I don't know if it was necessarily the worst, or like, not worst, the darkest part of my life, but it wasn't a time where I could have had the choice to not keep trying. And creating this story into a comic, like with the hopes of it becoming a reality, becoming someone's imaginative separate universe to share along with me, became my new life. I was laying in bed drawing it. I was very privileged in that my parents had the money to buy me a tablet and art supplies and keep up my medical treatments and stuff like that. For that, like, I was very lucky, and I'm glad that I actually used those materials with the privilege that I had, rather than just leaving it to just waste. But I think because these comics, I'm talking about What's Sexual too at this point, because it's coming from a place of having lost all hope, I think it's almost more special to me and more personal of a goal to inspire other people to keep on going and have a purpose. That's kind of what gives me hope in a way, is to see my therapy benefit other people. I think people have always noticed when I was younger that or like, not too young, like in high school, that I had a fascination with things that seemed dark, but to me, I don't think people understand where that's coming from because I never expressed it. So that is my own fault. This fascination with pain and some type of struggle has been interesting to me, but I don't revel in the painful part. For me, it's interesting because I like to watch how humans adapt and survive. It's absolutely incredible. That's why I wanted to make this video, because I don't really know how I survived that time. I'm avoiding expressing how bad it was. I'm just hoping that you'll believe me, because there's no way for me to possibly tell you how it felt unless you were me. But what's fascinating to me about pain is what humans can live through, and they're willing to. You don't even realize it sometimes what your body is doing to save you and survive on a daily basis. And that's coming from someone who had been told, like, oh, your body has autoimmune diseases, it's fighting against itself, whatever. It's like, no, I'm still alive somehow because of my body as well. And I've made it this far. I think that's what this story helped me initially, because it was the beginning of my process of ending the battle and working with myself instead of against myself for so long. It changed my brain from thinking about self-hatred to self-improvement and what I could do better, rather than wanting to give up on myself. In my household, we have a lot of dogs, as you can see, and we're often so entranced by how when Sam chases after the ball and smashes into the wall because he's being a doofus and not paying attention, he stands right back up and just gets going, like, as if nothing has happened. But I think we see dogs and we're like, hey, they're so different from us, but humans are like that too. We just don't realize how much perseverance we have and how much strength we have to keep going, because sometimes it's so small that we just don't notice it every single day as it passes us by. That's what was like the most impactful part of accidentally searching back into my Instagram page, was looking back at these photos. Back then, I saw myself as the weakest person that I knew, and that person led me to where I am right now. I'm so grateful for that. Every single decision I made when I thought I was absolutely the weakest, the worst, whatever you want to say, that person is who has continued with me throughout this journey, made decisions back then that led me to where I am now, in a good way. So, before this gets any longer, I wanted to say thank you for joining me on this journey so far with my comic. I know it's not over yet, but I think as it ends, I would like to share how much the stories have meant to me. I hope that we can share the rest of this journey together, even beyond the comics, because it's truly not just my work, but ours. I remember comments from way back in the very beginning of my Instagram account of people who are still following me today, and I was just talking to someone about that. It was like we both supported each other and left stuff on each other's work every so often. It didn't have to be constant, but it was enough to remember that we both care about each other's work. And when you are supporting someone's passion in something that they care about the most, or something important to them, that can go a long way, even if they're just someone you talk to occasionally. I've seen so many comments throughout the year on my comic that I have never expected. The sheer amount of people who can relate to things or understand the characters that I felt like maybe couldn't have been understood. It just shows that there's more of us out there that are like that. If you ever feel misunderstood, I hope that we can create a safe community and a space together where that is a little bit more possible for you, at the very least. So thank you for sharing both your moments and mine with me. And I can't even believe this, but we've thrived on each other's love and support thousands of miles away. That is absolutely insane. So thank you for experiencing this with me. I am forever grateful. It has changed my life, absolutely. And I'll explain this further on a future video. Let me know what you think down below and what other types of videos you want to see. Once I finish the comic, do you want spoilers? Do you want to have a theory session? Do you want me to tell you some of the hidden secrets in it? Let me know down below, and please make sure to subscribe if you like this, because I do not want us to part just because I'm not posting on my comic anymore. Don't leave me. I need you in my life. No, you're welcome to stay and go as you please, but I would love to continue our journey together. So I hope you're having a great day. I will see you very soon. Goodbye.